What's up, football freaks and football geeks? I'm Justin, Bridgewater's finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter. I'm a lazy bum. My video is up a day late. I really like to get him up on Wednesdays. Normally, it's of course Thursday afternoon. I'm also a lazy bum because it's 11:30 in the morning and I just pulled my fat ass out of bed. But in any case, Week 5, National Football League Weekly NFL Pick Show 2013-2014. Here it comes. So right off the top, I've got to admit, we've hit a little bit of a slump here. Last week was not a good week. Once again, second week in a row where I haven't exactly had the best week ever. Still holding strong in the private pick'em. I did drop down a spot, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But it was my second straight week where I've been under 500 picking the game straight up. So it's getting a little rough here, but we're going to start turning it around right now. But let's talk about the results from last week. We're going to start with the top two. Of course, these are my top two against the spread, my top two over-under plays. Now, last week I went 0-2 against the spread. I told you to take Baltimore, who was favored by 3.5, and I told you to take Dallas, who was favored by only a single point. They both lost their games, 0-2 there. So that one hurt. I'm 4-4 picking against the spread this season. Over-under, I did manage to get one of them. I told you to take New Orleans, Miami to go over 48 points. That did happen. New Orleans was able to throw on them all day, as I said they would in the video. But I also told you to take Detroit, Chicago under 47. That, of course, did not work out. So I was 1-1 there, and I'm only 4-4 picking against the spread this year. So overall, I'm only 8-8, both against the spread and over-under. We're going to start moving in the right direction this week. So let's take a look at the platinum, gold, silver, and bronze picks from week 4. With the bronze pick, I told you to take Minnesota to quote-unquote upset Pittsburgh. That game, of course, was in London. They did that. Minnesota beats Pittsburgh 34-27. Pittsburgh 0-4 for the first time since 1968. And it's really strange that they lost this game. They out-yarded Minnesota by a decent clip. They dominated time of possession, but Minnesota just did more with less. Two bad teams. Take your opportunities and do the most with them that you possibly can. Minnesota did that. Pittsburgh did not. Ergo, Minnesota walks away with the win. Silver pick, I told you to take the Chiefs over the Giants. That one worked out in a big bad way. Kansas City rolls 31-7. This was a competitive game at the half. It was only 10-7 KC. The Giants just fell apart in the second half. These two teams, despite the fact that, of course, Kansas City won this game rather handily, both of these teams were kind of sloppy in this one. They combined for 6 turnovers, 3 apiece, and 14 penalties, 7 apiece. The gold pick, I told you to take Cincinnati over Cleveland. This is the game that knocked me out of my suicide pool, unfortunately. Cincinnati loses this game to Cleveland 17-6. Very low scoring game. Cincinnati did nothing in this game. They put up 266 yards of total offense. Not going to be good enough. 2 turnovers. They combined for a 5 of 17 number on 3rd and 4th down. That is not going to get it done. But I also look on the Cleveland side. This Hoyer kid is playing pretty well. 5 touchdowns in 2 games. And I think the Cleveland Browns team, even when they had Trent Richardson, would have been happy as a team with 5 touchdowns in 2 games, much less your quarterback alone accounting for 5 touchdowns in 2 games. So this Hoyer kid playing very, very well. And in the platinum pick, of course, I took the easy one, unfortunately. Indy, of course, clobbers Jacksonville 37-3. Another day, another disappointment for the Jags. The Jags actually led this game 3-0. They kicked the field goal, led this game. They had to be feeling like they won the Super Bowl just by leading a game. But then, of course, the Colts reel off 37 straight points and destroy the Jags. Who didn't see that coming? Overall, in Week 4, I was a disappointing 6-9 with my straight-up predictions. On the season, still 37-26, so I'm still ahead of the game compared to where I was last year, but I'm only sitting in the 57th percentile on Yahoo, so that percentile has taken a huge drop. In the private pick'em, as I said, I dropped down to 3rd out of 20. We've picked up a couple more, so we're now at an even 20, which is cool. I think this is being successful this year. So again, I'm 3rd place out of 20, 372 of 528 possible confidence points, a clip of 70%. However, in week 4, I was only able to rake in 64 of 120 possible confidence points, a clip of only 53%, that is not going to get it done. Shout out to our Week 4 winner, GermanBsFan. When all of us really struggled in the pick'em this week, GermanBsFan jumped up there. He had a great week. He was 11-4 with his picks last week. That's a huge number. 94 of 120 possible confidence points for a clip of 78%. So GermanBsFan, he really dominated the league this week. Jay Cutler for MVP remains our overall leader, has a record this year of 40-23, so 3 games on each side better than I am. 382 of 528 possible confidence points, a clip of 72%. But if you do your math there, I said I'm in 3rd place with 372. He's in 1st place with 382. The top 3 spots are only separated by 10 points. Congratulations to GermanBsFan for being our Week 4 winner, and for Jay Cutler for MVP for remaining, through all 4 weeks, the overall leader. Alright, now let's get into our Week 5 predictions here. We're going to start with the top 2 against the spread and over-under. Start on the over-under side. Kind of like I did last week, I'm going to give you my favorite overplay and my favorite underplay of the week. My favorite OU play this week comes in the San Diego versus Oakland game. Now, the number here is 45. San Diego has had a bit of an offensive resurgence this year. Phillip Rivers is looking better than he's looked in, I would say, the last 2 or 3 years combined. Playing very, very good football, luckily for one of my fantasy teams. And Oakland, behind Terrell Pryor, and their offense is it's clipping along at a good pace, 16, 17, 18, 19 points, usually fairly consistently this year. If these 2 teams hit their averages, I don't see any reason why this game wouldn't bump up even a little bit higher and go over your 45 points. So that's where I'm going with this. San Diego, Oakland, I'm going to take over 45 points. I don't see anything real special at either one of these defenses, so I certainly don't think Oakland's going to be able to stop Phillip Rivers. There is a chance that Terrell Pryor does not play in this game. Actually, I think it's more than likely that we're going to see Matt Flynn. But that being said, we've seen some real good things from backup quarterbacks this year. Hoyer, anyone. So I still think, even if Terrell Pryor does not play, I still think this number goes over 45 points. That's where I'm going, San Diego and Oakland. I suggest you do the same. My second favorite OU play this week comes in the game of Philadelphia versus the New York Giants. Now, this number is 53. I already kind of buried the lead here in saying that this is going to go under. I'm going to take under 53 points in this one. That might seem very strange with Philly's offense as dynamic and good as it has shown flashes of being this year, but the Giants have only scored 7 points in their last 2 games, so their offense is going fucking nowhere. Even though you look at the receivers they have on that team, Victor Cruz and Hakeem Nicks, they're so good, they're such good receivers, and the running game has been kind of there, kind of okay. You'd think they'd be able to generate something, but to get shut out by the Carolina Panthers is nothing short of an embarrassment. So I look for their struggles to continue because Philly has been able to do some things on defense. 53 points to me just looks like it's too high, even though Philly's got a good offense. So in Philly, New York Giants, I'm telling you to take under 53 points. Now let's look at the against the spread picks for Week 5. Got a couple of what are basically pick'em games here for you. My top ATS play this week is Kansas City -1 on the road in Tennessee. Tennessee's done some really good things this year, and their defense has actually looked fantastic, although I don't know if that's as much a product of the teams they've played or of their defense itself. But you can't argue with only giving up, in the teens number of points on average per game. They've had a couple of really, really good defensive showings. Kansas City, I have fought it for a long time, jumping on the Chiefs bandwagon, but you know what? They're 4-0 right now. They're playing great. I think only having them favored by a single point, I look at that as a gift, even though the game is on the road. I'm going to take KC -1 against Tennessee, and I suggest you do the same. My second favorite ATS play this week is the New England Patriots, who are, for some unexplained reason, a 4-0 team that is a 1-point dog on the road in Cincinnati, who, as we just mentioned, lost to Cleveland last week. No disrespect to Cleveland. They've played very well since Hoyer's become their quarterback. But Cincinnati should not have lost that game. Now, you're coming home, but you've got the New England Patriots coming in, who are 4-0. And despite the fact that they've got no one who is a relevant receiver, you're going to tell me that when Cincinnati couldn't stop Hoyer, that they're going to stop Tom Brady? I don't see that happening. New England +1 is a gift here. The man wants you to take his money. New England +1, my second favorite ATS play this week, and I suggest you do the same. Now let's take a look at the platinum, gold, silver, and bronze picks for week 5 in the NFL. Starting at the bottom with the bronze pick. As always, I'm 4-0 this year with the bronze pick. I have the Atlanta Falcons playing at home, welcoming the New York Jets into the great state of Georgia. Atlanta is disappointing. They're 1-3 right now. Nobody thought Atlanta was going to be 1-3. I thought New Orleans was going to hang an L on them first week of the season. Since that point, they've lost 2 of 3, and it shouldn't have been happening for Atlanta. That being said, the Jets come in. They're still a team that's kind of their own worst enemy. They're still not exactly the greatest thing since sliced bread. Now, they got a chance to win that division, which is weird, but it's going to be real hard now that New England is kind of getting better. Gronkowski's going to be back soon. In any case, this is the way this breaks down. If Atlanta loses this game, they can kiss the division goodbye. If Atlanta loses this game, they can probably kiss the playoffs goodbye, because at that point, you would have to win out the rest of the season just to be 12-4. I like to take teams whose backs are absolutely against the wall here, and Atlanta is a prime candidate for that. Probably among the most disappointing teams this season, and I'm sorry to say that to Hatbox Kid, but I'm sure he would agree with me. I'm going to take the Falcons to beat the Jets at home, keep their divisional hopes alive, keep their playoff hopes alive. That's the way I'm going to go with it for the bronze pick. Up to the silver pick, I'm 3-1 with the silver pick this season. The San Francisco 49ers play host to the Houston Texans. Speaking of disappointing teams so far this year, we got to look squarely in the direction of really both of these teams. I think most people would have said, San Francisco's going to be, at worst, 3-1, probably 4-0 at this point in the season, and Houston would be looking like, oh, well, these guys are going to be very good as well. And both of these teams have had some recent struggles. I got to run with the home team here. I think San Francisco obviously gets that, usually people say 3 to 4 point boost based on the fact that they're playing at home and have a supportive crowd behind them. So I'm going to have to go San Francisco in this one. I think Houston's got a good chance in this game. I think if Houston's defense shows up, then it's going to be a low scoring game. I would almost be tempted, I think the number's 41.5. I would almost be tempted to take the under in this game. But I think San Francisco gets enough of a push by the fact that they're at home to get it done. So I'm going to take the 49ers to beat the Texans for my silver pick. The gold pick, I'm also 3-1 picking the gold pick this year. Of course, lost out my gold pick last week with Cincinnati. The Dallas Cowboys playing at home to the Denver Broncos. I don't think there's a whole heck of a lot else that I need to say in this game aside from this is going to be a high-scoring game because Dallas's defense, well, no defense right now can stop Peyton Manning. And Denver's defense, I don't know if maybe they've been playing looser because they've had big leads in games or what it is, but Denver's defense has not been overly impressive to me this year. Points can be scored on Denver's defense is the way that I'll put it. Got to stick with the Broncos. The Colts are Peyton's old team. That's kind of funny. Got to stick with the Broncos. How can you not at this point? At this point, I have to see them lose. So I got to take the Broncos on the road in Dallas to beat the Cowboys for my gold pick. And the platinum pick, 4-0 on the platinum pick so far this year. The Green Bay Packers going back to Lambeau Field, coming off their bye week, taking on the Detroit Lions. Detroit had an impressive win last week. I didn't have Detroit winning that game. A game with 2 great quarterbacks and 2 great offenses and 2 defenses that probably should be better than they are, but they're not. This is another game where whatever the number is in this game, take the over. Do yourself a favor. I don't dislike Detroit by any means. Of course, I gave them quite a bit of love last week that their defense should show up and be better. I got to take Green Bay here. I'm a bit of a Green Bay homer. I think if you can say that Baltimore is my team, I'd have to say Green Bay is a pretty close second. Historically, I've been a pretty big Green Bay fan. Actually, a pretty big Dallas fan as well. But I got to take Green Bay in this game to beat the Lions at home. That's the platinum pick. Now let's take a look at the rest of the Week 5 games in the National Football League. Here they come. Week 5 show for you folks. Comments, hate, and love in the comment section. You know where it is. Gonna give you a little update on my fantasy football teams so far. 4-0 in one league. I'm 3-1 in my own league, and 2-2 and 2-2 in the other ones. One of the 2-2 teams, of course, is in the YouTube Prognosticators League. I lost a very close matchup to the Masked Tweeter, which on paper shouldn't have been a close matchup. He played down to me, I played up to him. This week I am stepping up to the challenge of the Hatbox Kid. I actually go into this game as a favorite, which I'm not used to. I'm used to having sort of come from behind wins. So Hatbox Kid, let's go, Christopher. How are you doing with your fantasy teams? Hit me up with that in the comment section below as well. That's it for me, Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter. Have a successful and productive Week 5. We'll come back at you with Week 6.